Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. The Oklahoma Land Access Program, or OLAP for short, is a great example of a non-traditional way that the Wildlife Department is pursuing additional hunting and fishing access right here in Oklahoma. Special biologists work to find cooperating landowners who will lease their land to us so that we in turn can make them accessible to licensed hunters and anglers. It provides landowners with an additional source of income and also provides sportsmen and women with more options for public hunting and fishing, making it really a win-win for everybody. So keep your eye out for more OLAP signs popping up all across the state as more landowners jump on board. Just another reason to love Oklahoma and the adventures that await you.
I'm Shiloh Butts. I am from Sulphur, Oklahoma, and I love archery. I will be shooting at the World Archery 3D Championships. It's being held the first part of September this year, and it is in Terni, Italy. So the southern part of this country, about an hour north of Rome. So a little bit different than the backwoods here that I'm used to shooting in. The team is selected by USA Archery, who is the same accreditation body that selects the Olympic archers, and also any of the archers that go to any of the Paralympic Games or World Games or anything like that. I've had a lot of people, say, congrats, you're, on making it to the Olympics and that sort of thing, which in my mind, this is the Olympics of 3D archery. It's as high as you can get and as far as you can go. So I went to Kentucky for the tryouts this past June. It was a 2-day event, cumulative score, so both days counted. Anybody was welcome to participate in it, so there was people from all over the country, of course, shooting in all the different disciplines. And at the end of 2 days, I was lucky enough to land a spot on the team. I eat, sleep, breathe every second of the day shooting my bow. Archery has taken me places that I never expected it to go. I shot my first bow tournament when I was 13 years old, starting with 4-H, and from there it progressed, traveling all over the country and now the world. From the outside looking in, we really are kind of, I wouldn't say outsiders, but in a sense we are, because the USA has only sent, this is the third team ever fielded to go to the World 3D Championships. In other countries, especially in Europe, it's a big thing. Countries ranging from Italy, France, Germany, Great Britain, Sweden has a very strong team. I know Russia has people that come to this shoot. And the last time that I had read or heard anything, there were 36 different countries actually being represented. I've shot IBO World Championships probably 7 or 8 times, I believe, over the past 10 or 12 years to when I could make them. I've been lucky enough to win 4 IBO World Championships in that time period. So my local range is Stratford Sportsman's Club. That's kind of my home range. I grew up running around there, and that's where all the people that basically got me to where I am today shoot at. Locally, as far as statewide goes, I would put our group of guys up, against anywhere, just because there was so many really good archers. And I truly wholeheartedly believe that because of having such a good group of archers there helped me to excel and become better, because I continually wanted to be as good or better than them. They set the tone way back when and got my mind where it needed to be to know that I can do this and I can excel wherever I decide to go. And I always know that they're right there rooting for me and help me out in any way they could. Yeah, whenever I received the jersey, I think that was kind of the defining moment, like, wow, this really is happening. In a sense, I knew that I was on the team and that I had, accomplished my goal of making the squad, but until I saw that jersey in the mail, it didn't really hit fully. And no words could describe it, opening up that package and seeing that. And so whenever the kiddo came home and he saw it, his first reaction was, well, I need one of those too. And I thought of that a little bit ahead of time, so was able to kind of work some things out there. And so whenever I walked back to the bedroom, came back with the box and handed it to him, see his eyes light up for that, it's priceless. Archery is, without question in my mind, a mental game. If you are not at the top of your mental attitude and have supreme confidence in not only yourself but your equipment, it's not going to go too well for you. So anybody interested in getting into archery, the biggest advice that I can give them is to just go out and have fun with it. Because as soon as you lose that aspect of it, then you're not going to want to do it anymore. And from a standpoint of becoming better, is if you can find someone that has done it for a long time, or even better, a coach that knows how to correctly teach shooting in a way that it's going to set you up for the highest level of success that you can get. That's even better. Like I said, I had a lot of great mentors along the way. Still have some now that I know they would do anything on earth for me to help me succeed, and that means the world to me. So just finding someone that can help direct and guide, especially in the early stages, is really the biggest key. But always remember to have fun with it, because once you lose that, then what's the point in doing it?
Hey everyone, Todd Judkins here, upland game biologist with the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. I'm coming to you today from my kitchen as I go through some of these quail wings from this previous season that we collected through our wing box program. This program really helps us to get a lot of demographic data from not only our hunters but our birds as well, so we can learn things like what the average covey size was that a hunter encountered, or how long a hunter stayed in the field, or even how far a hunter was traveling to get to that specific WMA. Currently we collect wings on WMAs like Beaver and Optima and Pack Saddle, Cooper, Caw, Drummond Flats, several of our WMAs around the state. And these wings can really help us to learn a lot about our quail that are being harvested and quail that are out and about on our WMAs. we can learn what the sex was of each bird, what the age was of each bird, whether it was an adult or a juvenile, and things like that. These birds, the hunter had actually put down that there were 11 birds of unknown sex. So they had probably clipped the wings and had already dressed out the birds before they started filling out the survey. But that's okay. I can do things like going through the wings here, and if you see right here on these little wingtips, there's a little white tip. And that tells me that that's a juvenile bird. Also, right here in what would be kind of the shoulder, or actually the elbow of the bird, there's these little tight black lines. That's called vermiculation. That means that this was a juvenile male. So if we flip it over to the other side, we can see that none of the feathers are actively growing in. So that means that this bird is a juvenile male that's over 150 days old. Likewise, for, let's see here, this wing right here, there are no white tips. So this is an adult bird. So really no way to know whether it's 1 year old or 2 year old or 3 year old or how old exactly it is, but we do know that it's an adult. On the other side of it, here we have another juvenile. We can see the white tips, and there's a feather right here that's still growing in. So if we flip the wing over and we go to the back side, we can see what's called a sheath or a pin feather still growing back there. If we measure that, it comes to about 57 millimeters. So 57 millimeters on the 8th primary. So that's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On the 8th primary, that means that this bird is approximately 125 days old. And since it was harvested on November 15th, we know that it was hatched right around July 13th. So why is that important? Well, from that, we can go back and look at rainfall data or drought or anything like that to figure out, was the timing of that hatch impacted by some weather event? If we get enough of that data together, we can start to see trends and really start to learn more about our quail. We talked about whether it was an adult, male or female or juvenile. This one, you'll see right here in this shoulder patch or elbow patch, there's not really any of those really tight black lines or vermiculation. So this is actually a juvenile female that was that 125-day-old bird. So a few things that you can do when you're in the field is look for those white tips or these feathers that are growing in, and learn a little bit more about your quail right after you harvest them. There are some hopes that in the future we're able to take these wings and do some genetic studies with them to really be able to look at how the genetics of our birds are being impacted by habitat management or lack of habitat management to make sure that we do have the healthiest birds that we're able to have here in Oklahoma. So next time you're out in the outdoors, grab an envelope, fill it out, and good luck this next season.
Right on that point, there and right along that little rock ledge is where they ought to be.
Gonna be right up tight against the bank, you said.
Let's see if we can hold in here as bad as this water is. You can just about use any bait you want to here.
They'd be feeding on shad up against the bank right there.
In tight. Right on the bank too.
Using a medium retrieve or fast or slow? Or
They'll hit it just about as quick as it hits the water.
don't have to worry about the retrieve. Huh?
Now, they're not too selective in their feeding. They're not like... Well, this lake is plenty rough now.
Yeah, if we was out in the wind, we could really have a good time, couldn't we? Don't really feel like my spinner doing a whole lot of spinning sometimes.
That little particular little old bait, sometimes you have to jerk it to get it started. There's a fish. Whoa.
Oh, there's one too.
All right.
I believe I'm on the rocks.
Mine feels like a little...
Doggone it, I broke that bait off already. Believe it or not.
They get expensive. Wow, look at there.
So
I
Don's bait side tackle store get a little expensive after a while.
Look at there. Now that's not a
That's a
hybrid. That's a
nice
big old
fish.
white bass, I think.
Nice sandy. That's all right. That's the way to start the day right there.
Well, let's see what else we can find you here that'll work.
Doesn't take you long to get a jump on a guy.
There's another one.
All right.
Ow!
You can catch all your fish before I can even get my camera out.
Those fish, you're going to have to be quiet. They don't know there's a camera in the boat, or they wouldn't be biting.
Afraid we might get the old camera jinx
Open
on
your
them.
lid there now. You're going to have to be the lid man.
If I'm the lid man, I get to catch a few fish then too. It's got to be that way.
There's another one. Uh-oh. That's supposed to be your fish I caught there. Ah, good. He came off.
Yeah, you're one step ahead of me. You always throw right where I was going to throw. There's one.
What's the old saying of blind hogs and acorns?
I don't know if I need another lure now or not. Things are looking up here. Yeah, I got the littlest one. There now.
Boy, this wind's going to have us up on the bank. I'm going to take us around and come back into that again.
Okay. You said the fish that we were catching up here on this bank today were sand bass. Where do you think the big hybrids would be on a day like today?
Well, they're doing the same thing these little white bass are. They're getting food, and the wind's blowing the shad in on these banks, so
They'll be up on the bank too.
I think, well, I don't know. They're subject to being up on the bank. I'm hoping they're not, though. I've got a place up here if they're congregated in it, we'll be able to catch some big fish.
Okay, good.
Look at there. You're another one behind, partner. You know,
I quit counting already.
You don't catch many big fish up on these banks, and I don't know why. Occasionally they'll come into the bank, and I'm really kind of glad they don't, because they're not too selective in their eating pattern. That's just anything that'll get in front of them's eaten. But they seem to stay on these shelves out in the main lake, you know, where you've got 20 feet of water that comes up to 12 or 15.
Got hung on another little rock out there. You said you don't catch very many big fish. I don't catch very many little fish on this bank myself. Not quite keeping up.
You're catching all I leave you. We may not, Mark, we may not catch any hybrids today, but they're the darndest fish you ever saw. You know, they say that a 10-pound hybrid has the same width tail as a 20-pound striper, so that's where he gets the fight and the ability to fight.
That big tail does.
But they just absolutely don't care what they feed on. I was talking with a friend, in fact, he's a guide up here at Big Hollow, and he had some people who live up there close to him go out on an island out here called Little Goat Island, and they sat out there in lawn chairs the other day and fishing for catfish with chicken livers, and caught 70 hybrids. I mean, some big ones.
Caught the hybrids on chicken livers.
And Saturday we had a hybrid tournament up here. We would have given our soul for one, you know.
Should have brought chicken livers with you.
We could have killed, yeah, we didn't have any chicken livers. But we've caught them on shad guts, we've caught them on crawfish, live shad, shiners. Spoons seem to be the most productive bait when you're in the fish. They're like a white bass. When you get into them, they're not bashful, they'll feed.
Just get into them and try to stay with them as long as you can catch them.
Yeah, well, they seem to use certain areas to marshal, like those flats. There's a place up there that there's a hump comes up from about 40 feet of water up to 20, and they'll stay right on the edge of that, and I guess they push shad in there and then harvest them along that area.
Don, do you have a favorite bait for hybrids out here, or do you just try what's
Yeah,
working?
I guess it'd have to be a spoon. Now, the spoon would have to be my favorite bait. I think the most productive fishing, however, is with live shad. That old shad holder we've got right there. You know, shad are hard to keep alive. Most of them will die before you can get them in the boat, and just throwing them in a live well won't keep them alive. They certainly work better. They certainly work better when they're good and lively. So if you can get good live shad and drift them on those flats, I think that'll catch more hybrids than probably any way of fishing you can do. And,
Well, when shad's the main forage base, anything in the lake will hit them.
Everything picks on a poor old shad.
I noticed there were a lot of seagulls in here when we moved in, and now they're gone. Can you chase the seagulls up here for hybrids like they do in Texoma and lakes like that on the stripers?
Yeah, anytime you see seagulls that are real active diving to the water, you're going to bet that the shad are in there, and if the shad are in there, then your white bass and hybrids are subject to being in there. These windy points are particularly good, and we'll find here in a few minutes we'll go out to these flats up here, and we ought to see a lot of seagulls there, and if we do, there'll be some fish in there. This wind's blowing shad in, that's what they're in feeding on. This is a great place and a great way for young fishermen to start because there's a lot of action.
Oh, yeah.
I had my grandkids out last night, and I bet they caught 30 or 40 of them there.
I bet they had a lot.
Oh, yeah, they have a ball.
It's good to get kids out and let them catch some fish and enjoy it.
The old kids have fun doing this, too.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how old you are, when you're fishing, you're still a kid, aren't you?
Right. I don't know when I've seen the foliage any prettier. Right.
Well, we hope today's stories remind you that Oklahoma is a perfect place to explore. So no matter how you choose to enjoy our state's incredible natural world, remember, your adventure starts with Outdoor Oklahoma. All right, guys, well, where are you all off to next? Outdoor Oklahoma is produced by the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation and is proud to serve and be funded entirely by sportsmen and women and outdoor enthusiasts who love and appreciate all things wild in the great state of Oklahoma.